All right, it is the top of the hour. Welcome, everyone. Give it a second for people to come in. It looks like we've got a good group forming in the room here. While we wait for everybody to join, just a quick again, welcome to the webinar for this month. We're going to be looking at some really interesting stuff today. Tell us where you're joining from. We'd love to see where all everybody's logging in from. Phoenix, Virginia, Portland. All right, we've got both coasts covered. Some Midwest. Chilly, Wisconsin. I bet it is chilly up there. Tennessee. I think we've got a very a broad range here today. That's awesome. Thank you all for joining. My name is Troy Jenkins. I'm the Director of Enrollment Management here at ACHS. We put these webinars together as often as we can just to keep you informed of the different things that we have going on here at ACHS, whether that be programs like we're going to be talking about today, or advice on, the best way to move through the admissions process, the support you can receive here, just anything that our students typically ask about. We want to, put a webinar together every so often just to touch on those things. Today is very special because we are going to be focusing on a few different things around our new practical certificates. You may have heard about these already. You may have gotten a communication about them. We had one launched this past fall 2 term, and we have another one coming. But you may be sort of sifting through some questions about what they are, how they're different, things like that. So we're going to cover that today with some very special guests that actually are key and instrumental in putting these together and getting them launched. So we're going to do an overview of what those new certificates are, talk with the deans about their part in this and their sort of thoughts on different things that we've been asked. We're going to talk about the affordability and the enrollment process a little bit, and then some dates to keep in mind for the various programs. So we're happy that y'all are here today. Like I mentioned, the deans, I've said this before, if you've been on other webinars that they've joined us for, these are the folks that really bring the expertise to the table. So much hard work goes into creating new programs and programs that fit and match with what people are looking for. So having them on today is a huge honor and treat. So we have Amanda Lattin, our Dean of Aromatherapy, Judith Thompson, our Dean of Herbal Medicine, and Patricia Kaufman, our Dean of Integrative Health and Nutrition. So you'll see kind of that pattern in the programs and the courses that are involved with it. So there's a little bit of everything. So it was fitting to have them all on today to go through this. Welcome, Deans. Thank you for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
So let's take a look at what is new. What are we talking about here? So we have decided after a lot of research and background, we'll talk about where these came from, but 2 new certificates to bring to the program set here at ACHS. We're calling them practical certificates, which speaks to how they're laid out, what the overall point of them is. So we'll dig into that a little bit deeper, but the one that we may have heard about already is that I have on the screen here right now, Nature's Remedies Community Certificate. There is a link there. We'll be sending out the webinar deck here after we're done today, so you can link directly to that program page. This program is actually available now. It launched for our fall 2 semester, which started on October 23rd. And we do have courses available for that now. So there's 3 courses per program, and you see them up on the screen here. Aroma 120, Herb 120, and Nutrition 120. So what I was hoping we could do, Deans, is can you tell us a little bit about each of those courses? We'll start with Aroma 120.
Sure. So the focus of this certificate is crafting remedies for family and community health. And we approach these through the lens of aromatherapy, herbalism, or nutrition in each of the courses. And the Aroma 120 course, so crafting natural solutions for family and community health, really starts with the introduction of aromatherapy. We look at some of the history of it from ancient times to modern times. We introduce the foundational principles of how essential oils work to create therapeutic effects and some of the effects behind aromas can have on people and why they're important through a personal lens and different cultural lenses. We cover some safety, which is really important if you're using them in the home or in different community settings, and just generally introduce the idea of what aromatherapy is, what essential oils are. And then we're really focused here on practical skills that can be applied right away, which we do in each of these modules in the aromatherapy course. So throughout the course, you take a deep dive into 13 different essential oils with practical knowledge about them. You learn about how to evaluate the aroma of an essential oil, how to describe scent. You get to learn about layering different types of scents together. So you learn about perfumery notes and fragrance families and different essential oils that are in the different perfumery notes and fragrance families. That's something I get asked about all the time is people want to be able to create their own essential oil blend. And that might sound really easy, but it is not actually. And there's been a lot of wasted essential oils in the attempt of creating something that smells good. So you get to learn the steps to practice doing that from starting very simply so you don't waste a lot of essential oil and then building up from there. You get to learn how to create different types of aromatherapy preparations and when they might be appropriate in different family or community settings. And we see these through different vignettes for different aromatherapy users and see examples. So for each essential oil, we give examples of when this could be used to support family or community health. And later in the course, we go room by room through the house. We look at aromatherapy for each room in a home. We also get to practice creating an aromatherapy crafting event that you might want to have in a family or community setting, and then putting it all together where you are creating aromatherapy rituals for different family and community settings. So it's very pragmatic. You can use essential oils you already have. We'll talk later about kits that are available. There's lots of downloads that you can use and save and worksheets to help you think through that process and feel confident that you're doing it safely.
Thank you. Excellent. How about Herb 120?
All right. So, similar to what Dean Lattin mentioned from the aromatherapy side, we're looking at the history of herbalism through ancient times and also through different cultures globally to see how different herbal preparations were used. So that's kind of the framework where we start from, and then we start jumping right into different kinds of herbal preparations. So we start off with things like teas and decoctions, infusions, and start to work our way up into preparing salves and electuaries and oh my gosh, tinctures, and I mean, you name it, we've got it in the course. So there's well over 20 different types of preparations in there. And kind of looking at how would we use these different preparations? One is when is the best time? What is the best kind of situation? Whether they can be used internally or externally. Certainly how to use them safely. And then also what's kind of what kind of person would do well with these? So for example, are there particular preparations that are better for kids that tend to be a little bit more finicky with what they're willing to take? And so how do we make some of these herbal preparations taste a little bit better? How do we make it so that they're still powerful and can be easily consumed? So I'm looking at all of those and some tips along the way as far as how to make them better, how to promote shelf life, so how to store them, how to store the herbs, how to store the end product also. And then any possible interactions, if we're concerned about if someone, for example, is taking any kind of a medication, is there something that we've got to watch out for with that particular herbal preparation? So safety is kind of at the foundation of it, but then you get to just try them and see and really start exploring the world of herbalism through these different types of preparations. So it's a lot of fun. There are a lot of herbs. You don't have to buy the kit here. You can use your own herbs, but it is kind of handy to have them all together and all the supplies that you would need, for example, to make the salves and the jars and all of those things that just make it easier to actually get the products made. So we finish it up at the end to introduce, for those who are interested in creating something like an herbal garden, and whether you only have a windowsill, so you can maybe have an indoor garden, or if you do have some land, like in a backyard where you can plant a little garden, we do give some projects there that you can also work with making those herbal gardens. So you're really able to work with the different preparations and start to expand what you can do for yourself in your own kitchen, for your families. So it's a lot of fun.
Excellent. Thank you for that overview. Dean Kaufman, can you talk us through the Nutrition 120 course?
Yes, of course. Nutrition 120 is similar to both the aromatherapy and the herbal courses, where it's all about crafting for you, your family, and the community. And in the focus of nutrition, of course, it's nutrition, identify nutrient-dense types of foods. So we start you off on what are nutrient-dense foods, how do you identify them, how do you put them together to make a meal. We also go through all the different cooking methods and explain what cooking methods can help keep the nutrients in the food, and what cooking methods may prevent or leach the nutrients out of the food, so they're not as high of nutrient quality. We look at food safety, because that is a huge concern these days, with getting infections from foodborne illnesses, from the preparation of how we prepare food or how we buy food or where the food is sourced. So we look at that. We then dive into looking at different traditions and ensuring that when we're working with individuals or we're crafting food and meals for individuals and family and community, that we take into account their traditions and their cultures to make those types of foods and incorporate those types of food while still keeping them nutrient dense. We also look at different types of diets or way of eatings, like gluten-free, or someone that needs to be salt restricted, like on a lower sodium diet. So how do you make nutrient-dense foods that are still tasty and flavorful while keeping to those types of dietary restrictions or dietary ways of eating? We then, and each way along the way, you get a chance to practice. Like, how do you do this? And there's recipes provided, tips, and you learn how to read food labels. Like, you go to the grocery store, learn how to read the food labels so that you know you're buying nutrient-dense foods and you're avoiding all those foods that aren't so healthy for us. The last part of it is really focusing on sustainability. How do we ensure sustainability as we, how we prepare our food, how we use the peelings of food, how can we reincorporate those, or how can we compost those so that we're giving back to the earth, or we're using them in another way, we're making a meal. For instance, like lemon peels, you can ferment lemon peels and instead of throwing them away, or you could compost them if you don't want to do that so that you can then give back to the earth and make the earth, the soil enriched with nutrients for further growing. So that's how it is. So the whole purpose is really on looking at nutrient dense foods, keep how we incorporate sustainability with them into making sure that we're all healthy.
Thank you so much. I'm hearing a lot about fermentation these days, so that's interesting. So that's a quick overview of the Nature's Remedies Community Certificate. Again, what you're probably hearing is, a focus on real world application. Just like all of our certificates have, you can apply these things right away, but this one is more focused on using them within your family, your community, right there with what you have around you. So excellent overview there of what we have ahead. Before we jump to the next program that's about to be available, I just want to invite everybody, if you have questions along the way, please feel free to use the chat. Just make sure to switch over to everyone instead of host and panelists. That way everybody can see your question and answer. We'd love to hear from you along the way, and we'll do our best to field those as we go. All right, so let's take a look at what's next. So we talked about Nature's Remedies, but which is already launched, but coming soon in February of 2026 in our Spring 2 semester, we'll be launching our Holistic Approaches to Mental Wellness certificate. So you may not have had as much information come to you on that, but you'll be hearing more about that as over the next few months. But we wanted to give you a little bit of a preview of what's to come there. Again, 3 courses with three credit courses, so 9 credits total. Again, spanning aromatherapy, herbal medicine, and nutrition. So you have that broad range and that broad scope of practice. Can we do the same thing here and maybe get it might be a little bit more, mysterious on this one, but can we have a little insight into the 130s? We'll kick it off with Aroma 130 again.
Well, maybe we're trying to demystify mental wellness. I can start. So this is a really lovely certificate. I know when we were crafting this, I know in my own practice, mental wellness is one of the things that we get asked about the most. It's an important component of health, and it's something that affects us personally, in our families, in our communities. So this is not diagnostic. This is not for treatment, what these courses are about. This is really personalized approach here. So it could be you're taking it to learn more about using this to support yourself or maybe a family member, or understanding these patterns as you might encounter them in the community. And mental wellness, we're really looking at this in these courses from a whole person approach, from an individualized approach. So stepping out of that diagnostic mentality and really looking at patterns in an individual and supporting the individual where they are as a whole person. So the courses open up by exploring that. What is mental wellness from a whole person approach? And what are some common things that can create imbalances in a person's mental wellness? So we're not just going to look at, just anxiety, just depression, these things. It's more about stress and how does stress patterns disrupt the body? How do, different body systems support one another? So we're not just looking at brain health here, but we're looking at gut health and, muscle health and cardiovascular health and all these things and how they work together to create mental wellness, and how we can use aromatherapy, herbalism, and nutrition to help support the individual as a whole. So in the aromatherapy course, we are going to explore these common patterns that people identify with as mental health, such as anxiety, depression, chronic stress, insomnia, maybe even like ADHD type of patterns, not through a diagnostic lens, but we're going to explore it through a traditional lens, which is used in herbalism and other botanical medicines to individualize that approach, which is outside of a biomedicine diagnostic. So we might look at anxiety through the lens of how different ways it can appear in a person, and exploring them through, for example, elemental We discuss this as like constitution types, so like a fire element constitution or a water element constitution, and how imbalances show up differently in a person based on their constitution type. And so then you select essential oils based around that, how that pattern is showing up in that individual, rather than saying, this essential oil is good for anxiety, which can be challenging because somebody might use that essential oil and it doesn't support them with their anxiety at all. And so then they start wondering, am I broken? Is the aromatherapy broken? You know, what's not working here? And this is helping to explore this concept of supporting mental wellness with aromatherapy through a more personalized approach. I do hope that the course helps people navigate developing personal relationships with essential oils or plants or nutrients, and really feeling that interconnectedness in themselves, because sometimes with mental wellness, we feel like something's broken in us. And I love taking the approach of resiliency and showing like, hey, you support your whole self, and then that supports mental wellness. So there will be a lot of practical applications in the aromatherapy course. You'll get to learn about individual essential oils and how they relate, like I said, to those constitution types. So looking at bringing a balanced approach, and then different ways to implement them easily throughout your day. So how to integrate that into lifestyle. So it's a lot about creating rituals, ritualizing that. It really also helps the nervous system to anticipate that support and learn how to use it and integrate it. So just building those rituals can actually support mental wellness. So that's what the aromatherapy course will explore.
Excellent. Thank you. I never thought about, you hear all the time about this will help you with concentration, this will help you with depression, but I never thought about it. It has to fit you. So that's interesting. Okay. Dean Thompson, how about a little bit of information on Herb 130?
Yeah, so Dean Lattin did a really nice job of presenting kind of the layout, the overview of how we went into creating this particular certificate. And so on the herbal medicine side, we're really diving into the traditional herbal ways in which they would use different herbs. And so that does tie into that kind of constitutional pattern. And so, you know, you might think of somebody, so she mentioned fire element. I'm thinking of like water element. This might be somebody who maybe is very overweight and maybe is just carrying a lot of technically water right in their bodies. And so which herbs are we going to choose to be able to help that person come back into balance? Because as Dean Lattin mentioned, it's not about diagnosing a particular illness. It's not saying that this herb is for this condition. It's more about what's the imbalance that's here and how do we balance the body again so that the person can function normally. And so herbs are used widely, and since COVID, I think we really saw a spike in mental wellness as a theme that came up for a lot of people. And so, you know, this is part of being able to take care of our whole self. So that whole person approach is we would take care of our physical body, the mental, emotional, and so how do all of those intersect? And with the herbs, we know that lots of people are taking medications. And so which herbs are you going to consider in particular situations? And are there any kinds of interactions that we may need to be mindful of? Because there are a lot of interactions with herbs and medications. So we want to be really careful to use herbs safely in that kind of an environment. But again, we're not focusing on the diagnostic, we're focusing on the person. How does anxiety or worry or sadness, how does that show up? Or grief, how does that show up for that person? What's happening to their body? And so then which herbs will help to support that person? Because you may have two different people, just as an example, you might have somebody who's very thin and worries a lot, And you might have somebody who's a much larger person who also worries a lot, but the herbs that they're going to need are going to be very different. And so we hear about herbs being good for particular conditions or states, but yet to really get that precise ability to use the correct herb, it's knowing about those types of patterns. And so that's where we'll be going with this herbal course. So I'm excited for how it's all gonna come out and be able to help people who take the course to help themselves.
Excellent. Thank you. That does
Yeah.
sound very helpful. Very exciting. Dean Kaufman, how about Newt 130?
So Newt 130 is all about how looking at nutrition, of course, and mental wellness. And not only when we think of nutrition, sometimes we think of what nutrients are beneficial for our healthy moods, for reducing anxiety or improving our depression. But there are also a number of foods and additives in our food, ultra-processed foods, that also impair or affect how we think, how we act, our anxiety, if we're more anxious, if we're more depressed. So Newt 130 starts with basically the foundation. Let's have you yourself track your food and see how it affects your mood, and then make some changes based on some recipes that are providing some ideas of foods that are beneficial for mental wellness. And how does then that change your focus, like, or your cognition? How does it change your mental wellness? And then we look at the specific nutrients that the body needs. So Dean Lattin talked about stress and how stress can really lead to other conditions in the body, especially anxiety or even depression. So one of the stressors on our body is nutrient deficiencies. And so we look at how do we replete those nutrient deficiencies, and especially what nutrients impact stress, mood, anxiety. And then we go into the gut, because now there's a lot of evidence showing how it's called the gut-brain axis, right? So how much of the influence of what's happening in our gut with our microbiota, and how that influences how we think, how we act, how we can adapt to stress, how we can adapt to changes that affect our mental wellness. And then, of course, we do it in the lens of what foods are the best, food first focused. And then also how do we make those foods and apply the sustainability again? How do we ensure that what we do is also sustainable?
So interesting. I really listen to you all talk about these. I'm sort of just overwhelmed by the amount of experience that the three of you bring to the table and that went into these courses, and just how much benefit that our students are going to get from this in a real practical manner. So thank you very much for going over those courses and giving us a little window into what people can learn when they go through that. We're going to take a little bit different approach now and talk a little bit more conversationally about where these programs came from. How did we decide to put them together, things like that, again, with the people that brought them to light. So what I thought we could do is just, some of these questions have come up already from students. Some have come up from our own faculty and staff as we're learning about them ourselves. So we thought it would be valuable to just talk about these, and so everyone has the benefit of that knowledge all in one place. So we're going to focus here on the origins of these programs. Where they come from? So we'll start off with how about Dean Thompson? How did ACHS decide that we needed to create these certificates? Where did the idea come from?
So that was partly looking at, what are the needs that our students are saying that they have? What do they want to learn more about? And so, as you know, in all of our courses, we have kits available And so they were getting a lot of instruction throughout the courses, but they wanted more. They kept asking for more. And so on the crafting side, we said, okay, well then why don't we take those crafting experiences and make a course that's directly focused on that aspect of it, because that really helps them literally get their hands on things, and give them that practical knowledge so that they can, as they continue on in other courses, or if they decide to start a program here, that they would have these preparations under their belt, and they'd be able to really succeed with these courses. But even if they didn't, that they could take these courses. So someone who's new to ACHS could take these courses and would still have something very practical that they're walking away with. So so it's a win-win for any type of student who is interested in these topics.
Absolutely. And Dean Lattin, how about as we were putting these together, what were you all thinking about as important in terms of the learning outcomes? What was first and foremost on your mind of how you wanted these to be put together?
Well, we focused quite a bit on application. So we wanted, each time you came into the classroom that you learned something that you could use right away. And of course, that meant we were focusing on putting that into the right context within the courses. So what was the goals? And it was for personal exploration, like we said, supporting yourself individually or supporting people that were close to you in your family or in your community. It's a little bit of a different focus than someone who's working to do something professionally necessarily. So we were really working to make these very applicable in real time, and also that they were shorter, so that again, not only applied, but these were fewer credits. And so we were looking like what can be achieved within just one course,
Mhm.
in each of these modalities on this topic.
Yeah, and I know we had similar feedback in the admissions department from prospective students that are sort of weighing out what's out there, and same kind of feedback. It's something that they could use practically, they could put their hands on, they could be effective within their community, but that was also accredited, but not necessarily focus on a particular career path or a professional pathway, just that personal knowledge and learning how to make things, to put it bluntly. Just, I want to learn how to make things. So this kind of fit into that niche very well. So along those lines, Dean Kaufman, who do you think would be a good match for these programs?
A good match would be a student who really wants to put things on paper into practice. So getting recipes, either those be aromatherapy, essential oil recipes, or combinations, or herbal recipes, or food recipes, and putting them all together and understanding. The biggest thing is the safety, because and we've all talked about it, that when you're putting these recipes together, that you're cautious on how you prepare them, what might not be so healthy for you, what could cause some issues, and so it's all about putting it into practice, taking all the different components and put it into practice, and ultimately the outcome is right, so we're all healthier.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. We've been talking to some students since the launch of the Nature's Remedies program, and it's very interesting to hear, just like you said, the folks that come out and say, this is for me. I just want to learn for me or my family. I want to be able to help my friends out. I already have this desire, that I have this passion. I'm interested in this subject matter, but I'm interested in hands-on, what can I just do with this right away, quickly. But we also have started hearing from people from the professional community, so people that already work in healthcare in some form or fashion, that are same kind of thing. They want to learn a little bit more and just kind of have this in their tool set, but not necessarily, they may not have the time for a master's degree or a doctorate right now. So they're looking at, how can I apply some of this knowledge for my own benefit or my own interest quickly. So it's interesting to see who's been reaching out, but you know, I can definitely see a place for it in our lineup. We've talked a little bit about, you've heard us say practical several times, you've heard us say professional. What would you say is the difference between those two? I get that question a lot, so um, I'll take a stab at that one. So you may put these two new courses or these new programs under the umbrella of practical learning, just as we've been saying. What can we utilize for our own personal benefit, knowledge, and helping those around us? Our other programs that we've had for some time have largely been geared towards helping people either extend their career into a new direction, change careers altogether into the holistic health and wellness, and are, maybe a little bit more focused on research, the science, the business elements that go with those. All very important things if you're wanting to put this into play professionally, as part of your career. But again, back to the who was this created for? We had so many people like, that's wonderful, but I don't really need that. I just want to learn this for me. So that's sort of the difference that we're trying to strike here between practical learning and professional pathway programs. So just a little bit of an overview there. The other thing that we get asked too is, how are these different than micro-credentials? So very good question there. And actually, these new practical learning certificates fit very nicely in between our micro-credentials that are already available and our professional pathway programs. Micro-credentials are, they're non-accredited. So they're not for credit, or they don't get college credit, but they do require, the student to go through a course of learning, to get that badge. They don't require you to go through admissions though. So because they're non-accredited and they're direct purchase, you can go to our website, learn.achs.edu, and purchase those at any time, start them at any time, take as long as you want on them. So they're very open-ended. Again, these can be stacked well with the practical learning, but there was still a call for, I want something quick that I can access on kind of at my own pace, but I want some structure and I want those courses to be accredited. So that's where the practical learning came in. So these are accredited. So you do get college credit for these courses. They actually can be applied as an elective towards our Certificate of Natural Products Manufacturing. Is that correct? So that gives you a little bit of an application there. So you can take these up if you want to continue on with us and say, I started off with personal interest, but now I'm wanting to go a little bit further and I don't want those credits to go to waste. We can help you bring in 3 of those credits into our Certificate of Natural Products Manufacturing. So again, it's sort of the link between the two worlds, so to speak. So
I just want to add there that sometimes people aren't sure. And if you may have started this for personal reasons or family reasons, and maybe you're not seeing yourself as a professional, but I think a great way to gauge it is what kind of questions are you being asked, right? And we make this an entry place, like we've all talked about. We're giving you practical things you can use right now without hurting yourself or hurting other people. And that's really important. That's at the top of the list is, cause no harm. But your interest may go further than that, or you may find that the questions you're being asked, you don't quite have the answers for, and that's when you can start learning more. So, and if you've already taken professional pathway courses and you want to explore this from a different angle, that's okay too. I think all of us on this panel would agree it's good to learn things from multiple different perspectives. So don't ever feel pressure to answer questions you don't feel comfortable answering. If you're a resource for friends or family or community, I'm just putting this out there as a public service announcement. And it's great to know that. It's great to know where do I really have the knowledge and skills to be effective without causing harm. And if you're like, I don't want to pursue this past that point, that's okay. You can find connections with other people who are professionals or experts in those areas. And that's how we create what a community is. It's a bunch of resources collaborating together.
That's great. Yeah, collaborative confidence, feeling solid in what you're doing, but also knowing what you're comfortable with. I think that's a great way to put it. Anything else to add, Deans, on the origins of these programs?
Yeah, I wanted to add one other piece on the mental wellness side as far as the origin there, because it's something where we've seen a lot of our students and people, and you see it, on social media and different places that people are really struggling with mental wellness. And so, we really wanted to be able to provide a way where people who were interested in these particular areas, that they would have some type of resource to be able to help themselves feel better, feel more balanced, and in a way that would be safe for long term, for themselves, for their family. So that was kind of us responding to what our students have been asking for and what we're just seeing in the general public from lots of people struggling
Great point. Yeah.
now.
All right. So the next step we wanted to take was, we've touched on this a little bit, but what's different about these from the rest of our programs that we offer already? So we'll look at a little bit more of the structure of how these were put together and how they might differ a little bit from the courses. Either I see some students we already that are already with us. How might they be different from what you're already taking, the structure wise, things like that. Um, so why don't we start with the length of the programs? How do the length of the programs compare to a professional pathway certificate?
I can,
Yeah, go
I
right
can
ahead.
go ahead. And so in these certificates, each course is 3 credits, as was explained, and there's basically 7.5 or 7 weeks long with the final assignment. And so they fit in a little bit differently if you're used to how the terms are laid out. So we started in the second session, so session 2 of the fall term. And then it will also be in the spring session 1, which is a little bit unique. And then it will be in summer to finish up, or I should say spring 2, I'm sorry. And to finish up like one of the courses. So that's how you would kind of go through them, all 3 of them. Ideally, you would want to take one at a time, because and we'll get to that when we get to the assignments section, but they do cover a lot of material. So to get the full effect and full practicality out of it, you would want to just do one at a time. So
Yeah, I think that's key. The total credits on these 9 credits is quite different from our other certificate programs that are more like 15 to 16. And we'll touch on a little bit later about what implication that has. But the goal here was definitely to break these up into smaller pieces that can be taken quickly. So if you're not familiar with our semester structure, we have 7.5 week, what we call accelerated semesters, and we have a 15 weeks full semester. So as Dr. Kaufman was saying, we wanted these to fit within the 7.5 week blocks so they can be taken concurrently. So that's how they differ from our other certificates you may have seen on our website. They also may have seen, just with some communications recently, that the term that gets put with these new programs is self-paced. But we thought we'd get a little bit more information from you all on what does that actually mean. So Dean Lattin, can you speak a little bit to what do we mean by the pace of these courses?
Sure. So we do have a definite start and end date, as we were just discussing, for these classes. So they begin at the start of the accelerated term, and they have a definite end date. But in the middle of that, we do not have set due dates for the different assessments within the course. So students can go at their own pace within that start and end date time frame. So there's some more flexibility within that. We have different types of assessments within there. So we have what we call shared reflections, we have crafting experiences, and we have applied learning. There's lots of different interactive quiz type of activities where they can review things that they've learned. A lot of the lectures are interactive. We also have multimedia resources that we've connected to reflection questions, and we connect those multimedia resources to what they're learning and in their assessments. So it's very interactive. People like to approach these in different ways. Some people might need to decide they're going to turn things in each week in order to get everything done by the end of the semester. And others, might have, I have a bunch of time this weekend and I'm going to spend a lot of time on this course. So that's the difference between these and our other classes where there are due dates each week in the term.
Mhm. Yeah, and to contrast as well with our micro-credentials, for example, self-paced in that environment means really self-paced. You start them whenever you want to. You can take as long as you want to. The reason for that is because they're non-accredited. They can be in whatever format they want, whatever pacing you want them to be. These being accredited programs, they do still need to fit within the academic calendar. So that's why we still have that 7.5 week start and end date. We do still have an admissions process for them. But like Dean Lattin said, in the middle of that, you're free to kind of move at the pace that you're comfortable with, which I think is very unique. Again, sort of sitting in the middle of two different worlds. And Evelyn, I think hopefully that answered your question from earlier, but on how similar or different they are to our regular assignments. So let's talk about assignments a little bit. You've touched on kind of a little bit of what they might be able to expect in there, but what are assignments like if we want to kind of detail that a little bit? What can they expect in terms of assignments?
So here we've got different types of assignments. So for example, you'd have what we're calling crafting experiences, which is where you actually sit down and you take, whether it's the oils or the herbs or the nutritional items, right, the food items, and you actually prepare something, right? So it might be a like perfume blend for aromatherapy. It might be a tincture on the herbal side. It might be a meal of some type for the nutrition course. And there's also the shared reflections, which is time where after you've gone through and you've created whatever that was, you'll have a chance, you'll have some questions that will prompt you to kind of reflect further on the purpose of that particular preparation. Like, when would it be good? Where were the challenges? Can you find ways maybe to make it easier, or what kinds of maybe broader applications are available? So it's those kinds of shared reflections that are open to the whole class, which is a discussion base, but it's more of really just a self-reflection, since it's not, since students aren't required to submit things at a particular time. So it's kind of, as you go, you get some time to think about what you've been doing. And there are some quizzes, and some of those are graded, and others are really, again, like a self-checkpoint. Did I understand that concept, or do I need to go back and refresh? So we've got a few different ways that you get a chance to be able to reflect and see, do I really understand this material? So those are the primary ways in which we're working with those assignments.
Excellent. Yeah. And as I recall, for our other non-practical certificates that are already in play, it is very much a week at a time. There is an assignment each week that's due at the end of that week. So another way that that's a little bit different in how they approach this. So
I would also say at this time, we don't have weekly Zooms from a professor in these courses. So it is genuinely a self-paced environment. That's another component that's different in the assignments. We don't have Zoom quizzes, for example.
good point. Good point.
And I would also like to add that because they are accredited courses, they are graded. So the assignments, the activities are graded.
Great point. Thank you for calling that out. So again, we're seeing that you know, those elements that are required for a course to be accredited are still covered, and then wherever we have the ability to be flexible, that's been incorporated here as well. So great point. We've mentioned the kit a couple of times. Those of you that are familiar with our other programs, each course has an associated practical lab kit that is required for the course so that everyone is learning from the same standard point. But is that the same here? Do students have to purchase the kit for each of these courses? Or each of the programs, excuse me.
Yeah, they're not required to purchase the kit. They can use, for example, herbs or oils, things that they have already. However, having the kit does make it easier that you know you will have, you know, that if you see an assignment and you want to start working on it right away, that you would have it available. All the supplies, like little jars, little bottles, things like that that you might need, you'll have them available. So you wouldn't have to worry about having to go out and buy them and is it the right size and those kinds of things. But yeah, it's not required.
Okay. Yeah, that's a question we get a lot from all of our prospective students. We have a number of students that say, will I be able to get everything that I need for my courses because I don't have any of that stuff? But we also have the question of, I already have a lot of this stuff. Do I have to purchase it from you? Or is it so our other certificates, our professional pathway certificates, it is a part of the course. But I will add on there, even though this one is optional, I can assure you that the greatest care has been put into making sure that what's in it is at top quality. I learned from Dean Lattin a while back that there is a spectrum of quality out there, especially in the aromatherapy world, essential oils, and here at ACHS, there's so much work that goes into making sure that when you're learning, that you have the best example of that oil or that herb to be able to learn from, so that you're not misguided in any way. So just something to touch on there. So we had the question the other day from a student, if I get started in January, for example, how soon can I finish this? That's a real something that's really valuable to a lot of our students is time, you know, speed. I'm interested in this, but I don't want to necessarily spend 4 years learning this. So if I jump into this, what can I really expect? So to give an example, it's Nature's Remedies that's already available. If you were to enroll in that for our spring term, which starts on January 5th, we would set you up for a course in spring 1, which starts on January 5th, spring 2, and summer 1. So you'll have 3 concurrent 7.5-week semesters. Again, within those 7.5 weeks, if you choose to complete everything quickly, then you have, you know, some time before the next one starts, or you can spread it out across the whole thing. But regardless of how you do that, it would work out to about 22.5 weeks total of semester of academic calendar time, which is the fastest program that we have, if that is valuable to you. So that's just one way to look at it, of stringing these together back to back in our accelerated terms, and focusing on, you know, putting all your focus into the content of that one course each semester, and then 3 accelerated semesters, you'll be done. So that's pretty unique. We don't have anything else that goes that quickly. Okay, so the last question that we have, I wanted to touch on as well. Are the practical learning programs eligible for Title IV funding? So we're going to talk about financial wellness here in a second, but we've mentioned several times along the way the accreditation element of this. So there's something that we have to keep in mind when we're talking about accredited programs. They have to fit a certain mold. But the other side of that is funding. So for a program to be accredited is one part of this, but they also have to have a certain number of credits in them to be eligible for Title IV funding. If you're not familiar with Title IV funding, that would be federal aid, FAFSA, Pell Grant, things like that. So because these are accredited, but not to the minimum length of an accredited program for Title IV, they would not be eligible for Title IV funding. However, no, when we went into this, we knew that these were going to be unique programs, that we needed them to be quick and focused and applicable, like we've been talking about this whole time. So because they are not Title IV eligible, there was a lot of care taken in making sure they were there was a lot of value in them as well, and affordability and flexibility as well. So wanted to call that out as well. But let's take a look at that a little bit further. What does that mean? You heard me say financial wellness. We're a wellness institution. We focus on physical wellness, but you've also heard spiritual wellness. And a part of that we also believe is financial wellness, making sure that everybody has the options available to them to do what fits their life the best. We have so many pathways here to fund education. You know, in this particular environment, the Title IV path is not there, but our pay-as-you-go and our installment plan payment methods are still in play here. So we've taken great care to incorporate a lot of time and effort into the financial wellness element of these as well. So you can see here on the right-hand side, the courses all told for three credit courses, they're $585 per course. And so if you were to take one course at a time and do a monthly payment plan on those, it would break down to about $150 per month, which is a lot different than what you would see anywhere else. You know, even some of you might be familiar with other accredited or non-accredited certificate programs out there. We wanted to make sure that we could bring value to the table to our students so they could be a part of this community in any way that they can. Some students choose to do all together. If you wanted to pay for everything all at one time and break that up into a monthly program, it would be $1,705 for everything in the program together, all three courses and the fees, which would break down to $425 per month. So obviously, you know, everybody's situation is a little bit different. We're happy to talk with you about how this might fit into your life. But we wanted there to be real approachable and accessible ways to do this. And also the benefit of that is we have more and more students every day that are concerned about student loans, student debt, and how can I stay away from that? So these are great options to put a plan together that you can pay over time, but not have to deal with all of the paperwork and the ins and outs that comes with federal aid programs or loans. So just something to keep in mind there. If you have been sitting here today, you're hearing something that really speaks to you and you want to make this a part of your educational journey, how do you do that? Some of you may have already been familiar with how things work here at ACHS. This would follow the same way as all of our accredited programs. You would meet with your admissions advisor. We can help you put together an academic plan, but that starts with an application. So you can go to our website, anywhere on any page, you'll see an apply now button. You can follow that, fill that out, take some time with it, tell us a little bit about you, you know, what's motivating you, what you're all about, what you're trying to accomplish. The way that helps us is we might see something in there that points you towards this would be a great fit for you. Or we might say, you know, based on what you're saying you want to do, this other program might be a better fit. And that's what we're all about, is making sure that it makes sense. Once you've applied and spoken with your advisor, we'll help you with the process of gathering your transcripts so that those can be on file with us for the documentation. The admissions committee will then do a review of your application, your academic history, and a lot of things that go into that to make a decision on acceptance for the program. Once you're accepted, we'll help you finalize your enrollment plan and any kind of business, student finance elements that need to go into that, your payment plans. We'll make sure that everything's squared away for you there. And then at that point, we'll pass you along to our registrar's department, who will register you for those courses that we've planned out. You'll be enrolled into our new student orientation. If you've not taken that in the last year, you'll be automatically enrolled for that. And then at the end of the orientation period, there is a welcome webinar that goes over a lot of things, but specifically how to be comfortable within the Canvas environment, which is where our online courses are delivered. And then you'd be ready to start classes. So like I said, January 5th is the next date coming up that you can start the one of these courses. So we're working on that with people right now. It says register by December 5th. I would really encourage anyone, if you're interested in anything like this, apply and reach out to your admissions advisor as soon as possible so that we can get as much done before the Thanksgiving holiday as possible to avoid those rushes that come in December. So just a little bit of advice there. If January 5th doesn't work out, our spring 2 semester comes up in February 26th. And that is when the mental wellness certificate will be available. So you see some dates there. Apply by January 30th so that we know that that's what you're shooting for, and we'll help you get everything registered as soon as possible so that you can start in that second 7.5-week semester. So I see we've had questions along the way. Hopefully we've been able to answer those. If not, my advice is always to schedule an appointment with an advisor. If they don't know the answer, we have the resources that have been on with us today, the deans, to reach out to and ask those questions and get that advice for you, which is a huge benefit to all of our student community. So we welcome any questions that you have, and we'll walk with you through everything. This is our admissions team. They help so many people every day. I think we did the math the other day, and each advisor talks to about 400 people a month. So a lot of stories that we get to hear, a lot of unique situations, and they are really, really good at helping you match what your passion is with a program that it will actually support you. So you can schedule time on their calendars right there, or you can just reach out through our request information button on our website, and it'll link you with somebody that way. So hopefully this has been enlightening today. I want to thank the deans again for their input. Deans, if you have anything to add before we close, please chime in. But otherwise, this has been wonderful to hear from you on what the thoughts were behind these programs. All right. I think it looks like we went a little bit over time, and thank you for joining us today. We look forward to talking with you about these certificate programs or any of the programs that might fit with you today. So talk to you soon. Thank you all. Have a great afternoon.
Bye.